dementia, connecting our lives to help us survive. So we spend our time to the fullest.
Hi, and welcome to Professional Insights created by Dementia Action Alliance. I'm proud to be your host, Laurie Scherrer. During our Professional Insights podcast, we have educational conversations with professionals in the dementia community to provide answers and support to people living with dementia and their care partners. My guest today is Dan Hoffman. Dan has been a care partner for his wife, Catherine, for 7 years. He and his family finally came to the decision that they were no longer able to provide the care she needed at home. Dan, thank you for being with us today and sharing your time.
Thanks, Laurie. Happy to be here.
Well, Dan, I met you and Catherine and your whole family in May of 2017. I had the privilege of spending 1 hour every week with Catherine on a Zoom. I also felt the sorrow of watching her rapidly decline as her dementia symptoms became stronger. Tell us about Catherine. What was she like before, and how has she changed?
Sure. Prior to Catherine's diagnosis, she was an active, healthy person. She was a 5th grade math teacher with a master's in math education. We raised 2 wonderful children, a boy and a girl, Ben and Julia, who were just graduating college and high school at the time of her diagnosis. But at that year in 2016, at the age of 52, she noticed she was having trouble remembering the kids' names and doing the 5th grade math. And we noticed she was starting to have trouble with word finding and remembering what day it was and asking the same question over and over again. So we went on a journey of diagnosis. She had been perfectly healthy and ultimately confirmed a diagnosis of MCI, mild cognitive impairment, leading to early onset Alzheimer's. So at that point, we really focused on learning about the disease and the best way to live and manage with it and live the best lives we could. So she stopped working. She volunteered in the preschool. She loved kids. She went to the gym, stayed active. We're active cyclists. We have tandem bicycles. We rode tandems. I took some time off from work. We traveled around visiting family and friends, trying to live the best life we could. As her disease progressed, we continually adjusted. And just about 7 months ago, it became pretty clear that I was no longer able to really give her the best care at home. That year, I had hired some in-home help and escalated that help to about 50 hours a week, but I was still responsible for weeknights and weekends, and it became too much for me, and really discovered that moving her into a memory care facility was better for her. She was surrounded by residents and staff and activities that were appropriate for her and allowed me to live my life. Since that time, she continued her disease continued to progress. And when she first moved in about 7 months ago, she was still active walking around the facility, but now her aphasia has really increased where she really can't speak very much at all. It's very difficult to communicate. And it's sad that she's not the person that she used to be. She currently still recognizes me, but I know that day will end at some point.
Well, Dan, I can tell you, I definitely watched Catherine's progression, where we used to first laugh and joke and tell stories, to where we went to making bracelets and then just looking at pictures of babies that were laughing. She loved the laughing babies on Zoom. And then to where she could hardly follow even the pictures. And we went from doing an hour, and sometimes we'd go an hour and a half to Zoom, to where 15 minutes was challenging for her. And I know it broke my heart, and I can't even imagine how hard it was for you and Julia and Ben to watch that. But You know, you and I have had many conversations. We've had people tell us about the typical get your affairs in order and make sure you have your funeral. What do you want for your funeral arrangements? And who do you want to get what family jewels, if you have any? But other than the typical stuff, what questions do you wish you and Catherine had discussed? And maybe it has to do with memories to pass on to your children, or what should your relationship be like when she no longer recognizes you as her husband? And how does she want to be remembered? What things do you wish you knew now in order to best honor her?
Yeah, of course, everybody's different in how they handled the disease, and even our kids, how they responded to it, reacted very differently, and that changed over time. For Catherine, she really didn't really want to talk about her having the disease. I won't say she was in denial. She knew she had it, but she didn't want to be public about it. She didn't want to be the face of the disease. And she would tell individuals one at a time, close friends, about her disease, but she did not want any public statements about it. So, which also made it difficult for me to have conversations with her about the ongoing care. The conversation we did have, generally, she would be active during the day, seeing kids, going to the gym, going for hikes, talking with, on FaceTime and Zoom with friends. We'd go to bed at night and she'd say, Dan, I don't want to live this way. I want to kill myself. And that was tough. It was tough to handle. We did everything. I did everything to try to get her help, a therapist, a lovely dementia mentor, Laurie, who every week would talk with Catherine and help her for an hour. And she did everything she could to help herself. We went to integrative medicine, clinical drug trials, really everything she could and we could, but she didn't really want to talk about it. So it was really hard. I think now, and I will say that there was a period of time when she used to say to me, I don't want somebody wiping my butt, meaning I don't want to end up in a nursing home someday. So she knew that was the trajectory of this disease, and she didn't want to be there. She didn't tell me that she didn't want me to put her there, but she didn't want to be there. So it became difficult when it was time for me to make that decision. But again, it was the best decision for her and for me. Another thing I think that we didn't think about beforehand, which was what happens to me as a caregiver, the loneliness as our companionship disappears, as she's less able to really be part of my life. I think we thought probably either one of us someday, when either one of us died, would remarry at some point. We didn't think that she's 59 now, I'm 61 now. She's not dead yet, but I'm very lonely and I could use a companion right now. And is that okay? What would she think about that? So that's something that I didn't think about at the time, but it would be interesting to know what her thoughts were.
Well, and I think back on my, what was that, 7 years, 6 years, whatever, with Catherine, meeting with her almost every week and getting to know your family so well. And you know what I often think of is her bracelets. She loved her bracelets and little stone bracelets and the leather bracelets that she put on, and she'd always show me her bracelet, and she was so proud of that. And we had so many awesome times together. And I was honored. I was absolutely honored to be able to be a part of your family and how much they joined me in so many times. So that I appreciate. And Dan, knowing Catherine and your children and you, and how much you went hiking, skiing, biking, kayaking. And I can't imagine how you fit all the equipment in your garage, because you guys were always doing stuff. And it was so awesome. And then always sharing pictures together. So to see someone who was that vital and that enthusiastic. And now where she's more of a shuffle.
Yes.
Um, I know that must be really difficult for you and the kids. And my heart goes out to you, but my heart also praises you because in your family, I have seen so much love and so much support. And I appreciate the times you call me and let me talk to Catherine. Even now, you take the phone in and let me talk to her. And I'm not sure she remembers who I am, but she remembers who Little Dog is. She does remember my dog, not me, but she remembers my dog. So that's good still, I think. But I want to thank you personally for all your love and your support. And I want to thank you for sharing with us today. I know this wasn't easy. Is there anything else that for people living with dementia or their care partners, is there anything else you would say? Try to have this discussion. And I know because Catherine didn't want to get on any dementia discussion support groups or anything else because she didn't want to talk about her dementia. But outside of that, is there anything else you would say to our audience to say, try to have this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, when I say try to live the best life you can, we're living in the moment, being realistic about the future. We can't predict the future, but it's okay to keep having questions about the future with each other. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen next? What should we do about it? But really, ultimately, as a caregiver, we have to make the right decisions in the right point of time and just trust our instincts and our guts and take care of ourselves. And Catherine and I had a wonderful love story as the disease progressed. I mean, like you said, Laurie, I mean, I'm blessed with so many family and friends that loved Catherine and loved us as we loved each other. It's wonderful that Catherine still gets visitors at the memory care center, even though she can't communicate. But as you know, she was a very empathetic person. And that part still comes out where there's still a little bit of empathy in her. So keep the journey alive. It changes, it evolves. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Like I said, I'd ask questions. She didn't want to talk about it, but just in the meantime, just live the best life you can.
Dan, thank you for joining us today to share information about what you wish you had shared. And thank you and your children for allowing me to be part of that life.
Thank you so much for everything you do, Laurie. You're amazing, as is DAA.
Well, thank you. And I'd like to thank all of you, our viewers, for joining DAA for this Professional Insights podcast. Please visit our website, daanow.org, to view other podcasts, find valuable resources, and find ways to connect with other people living with dementia through our virtual discussion and engagement programs. Dementia Action Alliance is committed to enhancing lives, connecting people, and increasing understanding. Thank you for being here and have a wonderful day.
So